welcome to the 2 Acre Homestead. My name is Lisa, in case we haven't met. Well, as of the recording of this is September of 2023, and I don't know about you guys, but I am super busy harvesting and preserving everything out of our gardens this time of year. Along with the harvest and preserving that we're doing, there's something else that I think as gardeners, we really need to keep in mind, and that is saving seeds. When you save seeds from your gardens, you are making a choice to keep good genetics, a good genetic line going in your garden for the years to come. So it's important that you save the right type of seeds. Not just any old seed is going to cut it. So it's important for you to know what type of seeds and how to save those seeds. In this video, we're just going to hit a few highlights here and there, but I encourage you guys to look up more information on seed saving on your own. And I will include a link to a book that I find very resourceful in the show notes below. But in the meantime, let's get to it. So first up, you need to know that there are different types of plants, and different types of plants pollinate in different ways. One of those types of plants are self-pollinating plants. That means these are plants that pollinate themselves, simply put. Examples of these would be tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, lettuces, and peas, just to name a few. The other type of seeds that are important to know about are heirloom seeds. Heirloom seeds are seeds that have been passed down for over 50 years, in some cases 80 years. A good example of that would be Amish paste tomatoes are seeds that are as old as somewhere in the 1870s. They've been passed down that long. These particular seeds have been open pollinated, and they typically grow, they almost always grow true to type, meaning these are seeds that when you plant them, you are going to get the exact same type of plant that you're expecting. And that's because the genes or the genetics of those seeds are stabilized. Plants that you don't want to save in your garden is anything that has succumbed to disease, pest, and anything that is marked as an F1 or hybrid seed. You want to pick the best seeds from your garden. It's okay to be choosy at this particular point in time because you are choosing the best genetics that are going to be passed down year after year after year in your garden. If you see something in your collection of seeds that is marked an F1 or hybrid, you want to stay away from saving those types of seeds. The reason being the genetics are not stabilized. So what will happen is you'll save the seeds from an F1 or a hybrid plant, and you'll plant those seeds and they will not come true to type. Because when you're dealing with hybrid seeds, they are taking a plant from this variety and a plant from this variety and cross-pollinating them to create the plant that you have either purchased or the seeds that you have purchased. And what happens is when you save those seeds from a hybrid plant, it's going to go back to the original plant. So you may or may not get the same thing. So it's very important to make sure that you're saving seeds from heirloom varieties of plants. Self-pollinating plants are also very important to mark because you don't want any cross-pollination. And when you have varieties that are self-pollinating, the likelihood of cross-pollination, meaning a bee will go to this plant and then he'll come over here to your self-pollinating plant and change the seeds, is very low. So those are plants that, especially if you're a beginner, those are plants that you really want to start working with. Now, there's one other thing that we want to talk about, and that is timing. Timing is everything in a garden, whether you are harvesting or whether you are saving seeds. But especially in the realm of seed saving, for some plants, you want to let them over ripen. Like for example, cucumbers. You want to let them get big, let them turn yellow. It's okay, because you're going to be saving that seed. There are some seeds, there's some plants like corn that you're going to let that dry on the stalk itself. Patience and timing is key, because remember, you are picking the best of the best from your garden. So you want to make sure you have your timing down just right. So let's talk seed types. And we're going to group them by family, seed family. And if you're new to this, I know this is probably a lot of information to take in, but there are certain plant families that you just kind of want to know. You want to know, hey, I know that family name. And these plant families have very similar characteristics and traits, and that's especially important to note when you are saving seeds. So, first up to bat that we're going to talk about is what is called the Brassica family. The Brassica family it incorporates several different types of members in their family. They range from anything like a radish, radishes, broccoli, mustard, collards, kohlrabi, cauliflower, cabbage. That's just to kind of name a few. That's a part of the Brassica family. When the Brassica family starts to go to seed, they are very beautiful. Some of them produce yellow flowers, some of them produce purple flowers. But basically, you want everybody in the Brassica family to go and flower. Once they start producing the flowers, you'll find that the bees will just take over and they'll pollinate everything. And then what will happen is at the base of from the flower will be these little seed pods. And you want to let those seed pods swell up and get nice and big. And once they do, let them dry right there on the plant itself. Simply pick it, and what I like to do is I like to rub it together between my hands and let the seeds fall out. If I'm worried about whether or not my seeds are viable, what I will do is I will do a test and with a few of the seeds and let them sprout. And if they sprout, then I know I've probably got a good seed harvest. So all of your brassicas, that's pretty much what you want to do with those. They're very dead simple, very easy to do. Now on to, I think, is probably the easiest of all of the seeds, and that is beans. Now, beans and peas, all of those are so simple to save, okay? So basically what you want to do is you want to resist the urge, if you will, instead of harvesting your beans and, you know, like you normally would and take them and chop them up. What you want to do with your beans is you want to actually let them dry on the vine. The pods will turn hard and dry, and you'll be able to pluck out the seeds from the dried seed pods, and voila, you have seeds that you can store for the next season. This rule applies both to shelling peas, any sort of bean or pea, this is pretty much the rule that applies. Next step is the nightshade family. The nightshade family is a very large family as well. Nightshade is usually tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, tomatillos, ground cherries, even potatoes are actually members of the nightshade family. The nightshade family and some of another family called the cucurbit family have what's called wet seeds. Now, this is really important to know about because wet seeds, what that means is they have like a jello or a gelatinous encasing around the seeds. Usually what I like to do with that is I will take those seeds, remove them, let's say from the tomatoes, and I will run them through a sieve and get all of the gelatin off of there, and then put it onto a paper towel and let them dry. Then I simply pluck them out of the paper towel and I can store those seeds for the following year. Now, granted, that's one way of doing it. There's another way that you can save those particular seeds. I know some people, what they will do is they will take the seeds, they'll remove them again, let's say from a tomato because they have the most jelly on them. Some people will take them and they will put them in a glass of water and let it sit overnight and swirl it around. And then once it's sat overnight, then they will put it through a sieve and put it onto a paper towel to dry and do the same thing that I do, pluck them out, and then you're ready for the following year. So those are two different ways that you can save those seeds. Another seed that we can talk about is also a member of the cucurbit family, and that's anything that is like a pumpkin, squashes, winter squashes specifically. So anything with a hard rind to it that's in that family. So that would be basically, yeah, squashes and pumpkins. Those particular plants, to save those seeds, when you're harvesting the fruit, you cut them open and you will see that there is seeds in there. You simply scoop out the seeds, and once you have scooped out the seeds, you can set them aside and wash them off and make sure you've got all of the excess stuff that comes with it, and simply put it on a paper towel and let it dry. And once you've let it dry, you should be good for the next season. And it's important to make sure that those seeds are completely dry, not just kind of dry. So I usually let those sit out on my table for usually a couple of days. Keep in mind, I'm in a dry climate here in the state of Arizona. We are in a desert, so if you're in a wetter climate, it may take just a little bit longer. Now it's time to talk storage. You've gone through the effort of saving your seeds, and now it's time to store them. How do you do that? Well, it's important to keep in mind that seeds like to be stored in a cool, dry place. And in order to keep them dry, it's important where or what container you save them in. Some people simply just save them in an envelope, which I think that's the most popular option for people, is to simply save it in an envelope and make sure that it's sealed and it's away from anything that's wet, any sort of water, anything like that. The other option is an option that I absolutely love doing, and that is I love saving mine in little jars, little glass jars that I know are sealed. And they're sealed, they are, completely dry and away from anything that is going to cause damage. You also want to keep your seeds out of any sunlight remember, these are seeds, they want to sprout, they see the sun, they're going to want to sprout. The sunlight is going to generate their desire to sprout. So you want to keep them, again, in a cool, dark place. I personally like saving my seeds these days in a little section in my pantry because my pantry is just that cool and dark, and there's no sunlight, there's not even a window in my pantry. So that's where I like to keep mine. Now, if you are wanting to keep your seeds for long-term storage, the best thing that you can do is either place them in a Mylar bag and in the freezer. I recommend putting them in a Mylar bag just because you know it's going to be sealed with an oxygen absorber, and then stick that puppy right into the freezer. By freezing your seeds will keep for a lot longer. If you're going to keep them in a glass jar like I have, or if you're going to keep them in a seed packet, they usually don't keep for very long, maybe 1 to 2 years. But if you stick them in a Mylar bag and in the freezer, they can keep for many years. So I hope that this answers your questions, gives you a little bit of insight on what to do when it comes to seed saving. This is a book that I highly recommend. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form, but if you're interested, this is Seed to Seed. The author of this book is Suzanne Ashworth. Again, I'm not affiliated in any way, shape, or form, but I highly recommend this book if you're really serious about saving seeds. So this is just the very tip of the iceberg, so to speak. These are just a few nuggets, a few tips and tricks. We're not getting anywhere near in depth when it comes to saving seeds here. But hopefully if you get this book and you're able to read it, this will help you get into a deep dive of how to save your seeds for years to come. Well, that's it from me and my family here on our homestead. So from all of us to all of you, wherever you are in the world, happy homesteading, and until next time.